I'm Tanya Hudson. I'm the director of the Downtown Neighborhood Association. I want to thank everybody for being here today. Jennifer Almanza just said something that I think is so true, and it just really reminded me of Pat. She said, I'm not a customer, I'm a friend. Well, I am a customer, but I'm also a friend. And I think that's true of everybody that is here tonight. And I think that is such a testimony to who Pat was. You weren't just a customer if you came into her store, you were a friend. And she had friends from all walks of life. They were as diverse as the products in this store. And you can see that here with all the people that are here today. And I am very humbled to have to be the one to stand up here and do this, but I'm honored to get to be the one as well. It's been amazing to be a part of this experience with our community coming together. I grew up here in Elgin. I plan to stay here, and I'll tell you, this experience is one that has really made me want to stay for the rest of my life, because it was incredible to see people coming out of the woodwork to help in any way possible, whether it was working an hour at the store or being with Pat at her home or just spreading information that needed to be shared with the community. People just really stepped up, and it was really amazing that Patricia was able to bring people together like this. So I do want to open the floor up to anyone who might like to say a few words about Patricia. And this, anything that you want to say would be wonderful. I don't know that we're really going to have the opportunity to do this in a group setting like this. I don't want to put anyone on the spot either, but anyone that would like to share something, you certainly can. Bill Jones?
I just want to say how proud I am to be part of this community, and I agree totally with what Tanya said, that this has been such a special, loving experience with all the people that try to make their living here in downtown Elgin. It isn't just a matter of putting dollars across; it's a matter of caring. And if one thing gets around in the community, I'd like to see more in the community realize what we have here in downtown Elgin. I remember when I was in the business in the 60s and the 70s in the retail clothing store, nobody ever got along with anybody, and that's when we had all the business. But today everybody gets along. My daughter, Karen, I just can't tell you how proud I am of her and Gentry and everybody that's stepped forward that's been involved with Patty's life and the loss of her life and the loss of the business that's been here in downtown Elgin for over 100 years. When I was a kid, I played baseball for her uncle, and if I didn't have enough money to buy a new glove, I'd come in and give him $1, and I'll bet you the ledger is still here somewhere in the store to find it up. But that's how they treated kids, and it's going to be a tremendous loss, but it could also be a good stepping stone for continuing this love and what we do every day to try to take money home to our families. And, I hope some other people say a few words, but she was a wonderful gal.
Thanks.
I'd like to say something. It was very thankful for all of you that volunteer. Gentry, Karen, Armida, Joel, Anthony, our last customer, Dunn. We were here this morning when he knocked on the door, and she was so happy because she made some money, and she just wanted to give back so much to the community. I like her cousin, Bob. Sometimes me and him butted heads, but we were still there. We both loved her a lot. She loved all of you. She wanted Elgin to be Elgin, where people help people. And she was one of them that would help anybody they ever ask her. Thank you.
And I just want to thank all my volunteers that stepped up to help. Marianne, Joe and Armida, Jeff, Marianne, Joe Hunter, thank you all for doing your help.
I'd like to say something too.
I really don't think I could get to words, I really don't.
You got a lot to say.
Just say a little story. Joe?
Oh, I just had the pleasure of taking her to have a cancer treatment, and I know she loved me. She always took me on the cheeks. And I'm going to miss her.
Ron?
I don't remember most about her is, we're both in retail. You know, in retail you got a lot of downtime, so you talk back and forth on the phone. And she used to get so frustrated with her computer game that she was always playing. And, just a great lady.
Karen?
Oh, I can't.
Yes, sir.
Just one thing I was relating earlier. Pat had a story years ago. She went with a friend, and all of you know Pat. Her wardrobe and such still reminds me of the hippies from way back then. And she told me the time that her and her one girlfriend went to California many, many years ago. This was back when the hippie movement was in or whatever, you know. And she was approached by a Japanese tourist, and she said, "Would you mind if I take a picture of you too? I'll give you $5." She said, "I want to take a picture and take it back to show my people in Japan what American hippies look like." And that was true. She got a kick out of it.
You did wear that well.
Yeah.
Yes. I'll say something. When we moved back to town here in 2005, or I did, Pat was kind of like my welcome wagon. I came downtown Elgin, and Keeney's was still here, much to my surprise. So, and she was still here, which was great. And you know, she didn't know who I was right away, but I told her who my family was, and we started our friendship kind of there. And she really was the welcome wagon. She let me get to know what was happening in town and what's changed and what we've missed, and asked me all about where we were and where my uncles were and how our church was doing and everything. She knew everything. It amazed me. And you know, just to come in the store, there's always something to find. My kids love coming in here, and you know, she was a good friend. And we used to joke that she was our oracle. And then later, we said we were just adopting you. So she's kind of Aunt Pat to my kids. We just adopted her that way. So when she got sick, you know, it's families. It's got to do what you got to do. And she's a good woman. And she's got a good heart. And I know a lot of people said she was kind of, you know, rough on the edges, but that's okay. That's the way she should be.
I remember my work with Pat was primarily in the community, doing things in the community. And if I ever had an idea that I wanted to present to a board or a commission about downtown, I knew I needed to come in and sell Pat first. Because I could sell everybody else. And if I didn't sell Pat, it wouldn't happen. So that's what she taught me. Can I look her?
I just want to thank everybody for all they have done throughout this whole ordeal. It's been truly amazing. And she appreciated everything that everybody did. Thank you.
Last call.
Well, I like to say one thing. I think it was 3 years ago I first met Pat. Actually, Butch and I first met Pat when we moved down here to downtown Elgin. It was during the Christmas walk, and she was selling or giving away chestnuts on the open fire out in front of this place here. And I'm like, oh my God, they were the worst things I ever had in my life. And I'm like, I am never going to eat one of those again. But she forced me to eat it, and it was still horrible. And it was the first time I met her. And ever since then, it was like, you know, I seen her out at Gas House was one of her favorite places to go to. We used to meet her there on the weekends at Gas House and have a couple of cocktails and maybe a couple more than we should have, but it was always a good time. And then it got to the point to where I was never a customer here, but I was, like we were talking about, one of her friends. We used to come in here on every Saturday, walking around town, going to get coffee, going to the post office, whatever, stopping here and just to say hello, see how she was doing, and check on her because we knew she was here by herself. That's just what type of friend she became to be. Somebody we wanted to check on. You know, Butch and myself wanted to check on all the time to make sure she was okay. And it was just, you know, it was amazing. 3-year relationship, it was amazing.
Tanya?
I used to walk by here on my way from the parking lot, the unemployment office, and you'd have to learn to schedule yourself so that the Quizno sign was not in the window back in 5 minutes, went to Quiznos. You could find her there if you really needed something.
She had to get that iced tea.
But
The big iced tea.
I'll tell you, nobody touched on her turquoise. And I watched her conquer that machine back there with the stitcher, with all that turquoise on it, never got her. And that machine hated her. And somebody was working it today and had a problem back there.
Hated me today too.
Yeah,
That was Pat helping
but
me.
she conquered it with all those fingers of turquoise.
Yep.
Tanya?
Yes,
Just one more thing that I thought someone would bring up. She was robbed about 3-4 years ago.
That's
if you all
right.
remember.
That's what I was gonna say.
And she was kind of letting the robbers just do whatever they wanted to do until they started to take her turquoise. And then she started to kick. She started to kick and scream, and they ran out the front door. The other thing I want to say is her best friend, Jim Reuter, who was Wilson Shoe Store for years. He was like a brother to her. And I think after Jim died, it was the start of Patty's downfall. I think it had a tremendous psychological effect on her. But I just feel terrible that she's not here to see the love that's coming out of this. And she wouldn't have believed it. Sorry about that.
Anybody else? Hi.
I mean, and really, she wouldn't have believed it because when I talked to her in the hospital, this was just so overwhelming to her. She just could not fathom that so many people would care about her, would be concerned about her, and she really had. She was just such a humble person. She did not realize the effect that she had on people, and that how many lives that she touched. She just never could comprehend how amazing she really was.
Yes, sir.
Just one other thing I want to relate to Pat told me. If it hadn't been for all your people, I mean, you're her family, more so than me being blood. Her family is this downtown organization and loved every one of you. And she told me, I had to say this without leaving the role, that she really, really had, this is her family. And she loved this town, loved everybody in it.
Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
Victor was telling me that I was her last customer, and it was kind of weird because what I came in to buy was a statue I'd seen here a week earlier when I came in and purchased a couple of things. And the statue is of a pink French poodle. And it is probably the gaudiest statue I've ever seen. We kind of had a tradition among me and some of my friends that when guests come over, you would pack this statue we had of a French lady in their luggage, and whoever got it was kind of, you know, then they had to pawn it off to someone else again. So it broke though in someone's luggage, so we needed a replacement. And now the wild thing about it is every time I see the French poodle, I also think of Pat. Kind of a neat tradition she'll be added into my group of friends about.
Only at Keeney's we
Yeah.
find it. Right? I'm sure.
She's taught me to buy many odd things.
And that's how the store's been here for that long, because I'm sure that was a generation, or a trait passed down for generations. Well, what we're going to do is we're all going to go outside, and we're going to close the gates, and we're going to put up a sign that says thank you to Keeney's and rest in peace to Patricia. And anyone who would like to sign the sign, we would love for you to do that and put well wishes on it, and we're going to put it up at the visitation and the funeral so we can share it with everyone. And Anthony, if you could raise your hand. Anthony has the pens because he's the tallest one in the room, so I found him, and he's got the pens. So if you could find him, if he would like to sign the banner when we put it up. So let's all go do that.
I'm from the trib. I just want to get the spelling of your name.
Wolverine property. Well.